I'll be honest. Yesterday I didn't play and I almost lost momentum already. That was scary. Let's not dwell on it because I actually did end up playing and exciting things did in fact happen. Before I start, just a couple of things I forgot to mention last episode. I have put my flasks in the menu that appears when you hold Y instead of the normal item slot, which is the X button. And I find this better because I hate having to cycle through all my items to get to the health flask, which is made even worse now that I have to use two different flasks. So having to hold Y and press the direction in the D-pad is obviously worse than just pressing X, but at least I don't have to think about what I have equipped, as they're always equipped in the same spots. After I reviewed my outfit and decided I had the best looking pieces equipped, even though they are still trash, I set out to explore a bit of the area I was finding myself in, instead of following the graced path that I know leads to Goldrick the Golden. I don't know yet how much I'll explore of the map before progressing, but if you have any suggestions on what I should do first, I'll happily hear advice. In any case, I see the telescope in the map and decided that was the logical first step, but before I could get there, I am interrupted by a voice. This is very interesting to me as I have no memories of this at all. I actually have no idea if this is actually new content for me or that I just forgot about this guy, but it's exciting anyway. I decide that it's coming from this bush. I can't interact with it, so I decide to attack it. The bush turns into a monkey called Bok, and I love him. He seems to have been hesitative from the coastal cave, which I already explored, the one with the monkeys, and says he'll go back to get something from there for me. So I go back to the Grace to pass some time and see if he'll actually give me something. In the meantime, I look around with the telescope, but to be honest, I didn't see many things that interesting, except like a bridge. I passed some time at the Grace and see that Bok is indeed gone, so I think maybe I should go to the cave too. Maybe he needs help or something. He's actually near the Grace in the cave and tells me his mom was a seamstress and that he really wants the sewing needle that I got from the bosses in the cave, that it's the item that I used to alter clothes. I obviously give it to him, which makes him very happy, and then he disappears. I have no idea where he is now. He did not give me any clues besides the seamstress thing, but I need to know. At the moment, I don't know where to look for him though, so I go back to exploring. I kill some zombies and then continue towards the bridge I saw in the telescope. I hyper-focus on this beetle on the bridge because priorities, and that ends up getting me killed, but I got the Titanite, so whatever. I go back to get my revenge and slaughter everyone, including the guy on the horse, which gives me a bit of confidence. While looking around, I find this message that says there's a boss here at night. And I remember those being a thing, so I take a mental note to come back later. Thanks to the confidence boost, I decide that I can tackle the things that scare me the other day. So I go fight the guys on horses I see around. This gives me some much needed practice at fighting on horseback, and also wins me some actually okay looking armor. I was very excited about that. It's not like good looking, but it's not ugly either, so it's definitely a step up. Near there, I found this weird graveyard of swords, which has a big sword on an inscription on it, basically just calling Godric the Golden pathetic and dragging him for losing against someone called Miquella, which I think might have been nominated in the intro. I see another horse guy, so I go kill him, which also gives me his pants. And then yet another horse guy appears. I'm getting a lot of horse combat practice. I get to the camp I briefly visited last time and fight the enemies basically one by one because I'm a coward and I don't like to die. In the camp, I find a cookbook, which is nice. And then I decide to start a very long war of attrition against the wolves, which don't give me much trouble besides being a bit long. After that, I found a Grace, which I must have missed by like so little when I passed through here last time. And I continue exploring the area around there until I found the artist shack and the painting in it, which is very exciting. I kind of forgot about this mechanic in Breath of the Wild, in in Elden Ring, and hopefully I find where the painting leads. I hunted a lot in this session, mostly because I wanted to have the bones for crafting. I always feel bad about hunting in games, but today was particularly rough because there were these bears, which I remembered gave me a lot of trouble in my first run, except today they were not trouble at all. In fact, they barely attacked me, which made me feel particularly bad about it all. I also shot down a bunch of dragonflies with darts, which is very satisfying to do. I didn't find much of interest in the area though, so I just killed the last 2 bears I see and then I move on. I felt so bad about it that I actually waited for the last bear to attack me, as I was worried they wouldn't attack me at all. He did though, he did attack me, so it's all good. After getting bullied by a dragonfly for a bit, I moved on and decided to go down below using the weird-ass huge gravestones that act like stairs in this game. Don't get me wrong, I really like them, but they are weird. On the road below, there were some spiky blobs, a lot of dead bodies in the mud, which were quite ominous, and a door that led me to a dungeon. The Murkwater Catacombs. Before venturing in, I leveled up some vigor and faith, and then I go forward. This marks this run's first encounter with the dreaded gargoyles that make you bleed. My nightmare. At first, I was pretty confident in my ability to fight the gargoyles. I killed 2, used an obvious trap against other 2, then my confidence started disappearing as I get ambushed by an unexpected gargoyle. I backtracked to find a 3rd gargoyle, so I kinda just ran away. By picking them one by one, I managed to kill them though, so I go back and I pulled the lever. Lever? Lever? Lever. One thing I find interesting is how small these dungeons and caves are, at least in the beginning. I don't think it's bad, but it is interesting. I fight the next 2 gargoyles with like okay success. I don't die, which is the important part. I almost did though by getting distracted and triggering the trap while backtracking. So this boss was the first actual challenge for me. To be completely honest, it didn't feel like a fair fight. It felt like I was a bit too weak or that I didn't have the right tools to fight him. My attacks didn't do a lot of damage and it would just chain a bunch of attacks, which made it very hard to stay close to him without like dodging like a maniac all the time. And at the moment I literally have no long distance damage nor summons or anything. In any case, I persevered. The second time trying to focus on the shield and spear combo, which was actually terrible and very unsuccessful. I even changed all my flasks to health flasks, but I still didn't make it. The third time I focused on parrying, and with that, some patience, some magic, I made it. As a reward, he gave me a summon, which really solidified in my mind that I went to this place a little bit early, as I have no way of summoning anything yet. A lore moment. The description of this banished knight summon kinda makes it sound like banishment is not at odds with the grace, if that makes sense. The problem is I don't know what the Engvall was banished from, so I'm still a bit of a loss overall. But continuing the lore moment, upon teleporting to the Church of Elle, I'm greeted by Renna, this cute hat lady with 4 arms, at least 4. She gives me the bell needed to summon ashes, which is convenient, along with some ashes of wolves. Apparently the bell comes from Torrent's former master, which I guess trusted Renna. Renna also asks the question, how long will it be before the tarnished tire of obeying the 2 fingers? Which is, I think, the first actual mention of the fingers, and also somewhat implies that Renna is not on their side, unlike us, tarnished. I buy some stuff from the merchant, which talks to me of the song of his people and warns me not to attack merchants, which is fair. I notice that I have an extra Ash of War from somewhere and that I don't have enough mana to summon the guy the boss gave me. The fact that it is night reminds me of the bridge boss thing, so I decide to go there. I clear the arena and start my horse duel with this very spooky knight on top of a Dementor horse. Our duel lasts quite a long time, and my practice at fighting on horseback from before really helps me, but I am heartbroken at seeing this dude despawn right in front of my eyes. Terrified, I ran back to him, but thankfully his health didn't respawn, and we can continue fighting. Unfortunately, I lose. I'm optimistic about my chances though, so I get my runes back and I go upgrade my spear. Then I get interrupted by Melina appearing at my grace for another lore moment. She clarifies that the grace comes from the Earth Tree and that Godric the Golden is something called a shard bearer, which means he holds an actual shard from the actual Elden Ring, and that the Elden Ring beckons me, which I'll just assume means it really likes me. I teleport to the grace near the night boss, and Melina wants to talk to me again. This time she drops some info about herself. She says she was given a purpose by her mother while inside the Earth Tree, and that she's looking for it, this purpose. She also says that she is bodiless, which explains why I need to bring her to the tree. I'm not sure how I'm bringing her to the tree though, considering she's bodiless. Maybe she's like in the torrent ring, I don't know. She then clarifies that she's not, in fact, my waifu or finger maiden, so I apologize for my previous statements. As an aside, regarding the lore is not story debacle, Clarking yesterday left me a comment on the previous video saying that lore and visuals plus environmental are like puzzle pieces that allow the player to create their idea of the story. I don't disagree. Piecing together lore is fun, that's like my basis of my recent obsession with like FNAF. But my argument is like, to be honest, more dumb. To me, like story, or even better plot, is what happens to the characters in the film or game. So in the case of Elden Ring, the plot would be what my character does and what happens to them in the time when the game is actually taking place, so during the game. Things that happen before the game, especially to other characters besides the main ones like the Tarnished or Melina, is something like materially different from the plot or the story. I called it lore in this case, but I've also called it backstory, world building. As an example, me finding the sword that tells me Goldrick was a pussy and got his ass beaten is not something I would call story, though technically it is like Goldrick's story. I call that lore, and I don't think it's the same thing as the game's story. I hope that clarifies what I mean, at least, and I'd love to continue this conversation in later episodes if anyone else comments about it. Back to us, in any case. After my chat with Melina, I set to fight the night boss a second time. I fight a bit more aggressive this time because, remember, hesitation is defeat, and aggression pays off. It takes a while, also because my controller kept ignoring my right trigger inputs, but I fell at the boss and it gives me an Ash of War. I then remember, Bach. Where is Bach? I decide to go check in the coastal cave for him. Maybe he went in the boss arena. But no, he's not there. This cave is the one that leads to the Dragon Church Island, so I go there to look, but no, he's not there. I find this glowy jellyfish though. I decide to go outside near the coastal cave and continue exploring the seashore a bit in the hopes of finding Bach. I kill some monkeys, which makes me think I might be on the right path. Then summon the wolves for the first time and fight the scary tentacle monsters near the area. They weren't nearly as scary this time though. I wonder if they're even like a different kind. There's a Korok circling some rocks on the beach, and I embarrassingly miss hitting it a few times before successfully killing it. It gives me an Ash of War. I see a fire on the shore and I get super excited. It must be Bach. It's not Bach. It's just one of those horse guys, but without the horse. Super disappointing. He seems to have killed this dude, but that's definitely not Bach. So not only am I maidenless again, I'm also Bachless. I run around all lonely, consider finding a giant walking around, but decide I don't have the healing flasks for it, so I go back to the Grace, get told to get my shit together and finally fight Goldrick. I level up some mana and I close the game, sad and Bachless. That concludes around 1 hour and 45 minutes of Elden Ring. Thanks for watching. I'm considering summarizing the gameplay a little bit more to save time. Let me know what you think.